welcome to another episode of Navigating Grief with the Sisterhood. Welcome back, ladies. So good to chat with you guys again this month.
Yes,
Hey,
good to see
hey.
everybody. Hello.
All right. So this episode, we're glad you're here. We invite you to just grab a cup of coffee or tea as we get into today's topic. We also invite you to like and share this podcast. Well, today we're going to be talking about forgiveness in the context of grief, forgiving others, forgiving ourselves, and even forgiving God, and then the healing power forgiveness can bring. So, thank you for joining again. Losing something or someone in this grief journey oftentimes elicits, feelings, different, various feelings. And as we say here in the on the Navigating Grief with the Sisterhood, you got to feel the feels. We got to feel the feels. But it's the grief process can send us into the mental, it impacts us emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so we hold a range of emotions during this time. And so, but today we just want to drill into forgiveness. So I want to kick it off with a question, open it up with a question, ladies. Um, Maybe someone can share, or different ones can share a story. Have you ever held on to something so heavy in grief that you didn't realize it was weighing you down?
Mhm.
Anybody want to share?
I don't mind starting.
Okay.
I was thinking about this for a little, and I thought about after my mom passed. Um, I know I probably had shared with you guys before when they came to pick her up to take her to the hospital. They didn't take her to the hospital that I wanted. They took her to this medical center because I think the hospital was full. And there are things that happen there at that center, which I wasn't very happy with. And so, now every time I ride down the road where the center is, I know sometimes I tense up. I don't want to look that way. And so that's something that I think I'm holding on to. And it's, when we talk about forgiveness, sometimes I look back and say, I wish I had done something different. So it's almost like forgiving myself for even allowing them to take her there, or just the circumstances that were around it. So that's something that I still hold on to, but it's getting better. But,
Okay.
I sometimes don't even want to go in that direction because it just brings back so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely get that too. And just how that, like you said, it can linger for a little while, even, beyond sometimes when we have that forgiveness, and being able to recognize it, I think is important too, that we're holding on to something and how it makes us feel. And I think in this healing journey, the grief healing journey, we have to analyze and look at those things so that we can continue to move forward. And
Hmm.
so yeah, thank you for sharing, Jennifer. Anybody else?
think
Something?
for me,
Okay.
I think for me, I realized that I was holding on to forgiving people for not doing what I think they should have done. That was really, really big. And I didn't realize it was weighing me down, because for me, it was just like, okay, they made their decisions, I made my decisions, and we just kept going. But as time progressed and we talked about among family members, different events and things that happened, I realized that some people were not present. And I was like, why weren't they present? They decided to do something different. And I started holding that against them. But for me, I was able to forgive when I acknowledged that I was doing it, right? I was like, okay, I'm really feeling some kind of way about a family member.
Hmm.
So let me have this conversation with them, and also realize that that was my issue. It wasn't theirs. They did what they felt comfortable with, and I had to be okay with what I felt comfortable with. But it was a process, and I didn't realize it until like we were all gathered in one space, and I was like, I'm not really liking something that they said. And they so it's really true when you say sometimes things weigh you down and you don't realize it right until you're in the midst of it. You think that everything is okay, but something comes up and shows you that, yeah, you're holding on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely love that too, about just acknowledging it, you know, just acknowledging sometimes helps introduce the healing. It helps us to get past some things and, you know, just to uncover that, you know, just facing it. So, and definitely in this healing journey and the process of forgiveness, which we're gonna really get into tonight, um, we have to confront it. We have to acknowledge it. What hurt us, you know, what's bothering us.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, yes.
You know, it's interesting when you said what's hurting us, what's bothering us. The other thing, you know how we say feel the feels, also don't judge your feelings. Like that was hard too. Like I kept telling myself what I shouldn't feel, right? And so when you're going through trying to acknowledge something that's going on, you have to recognize that it's okay to feel it, whatever it is. Once you acknowledge it, you can move forward from it. But the whole time you judge it, a lot of times we can't reach that healing process.
Yeah. So good. So good. Glad you added that, because it reminded me of an incident that I encountered, you know, after my husband passed away. And I remember returning back to work, and I was talking to a colleague, you know, back to work and just getting back into the normal routine of work. And I had to reach out to a colleague about something, and the subject of my, you know, my husband passing came up, and she was just very flippant and nonchalant, you know, about, oh, you'll get over it. And it was just, it's something that weighed on me. And just every time I, you know, encountered her again after that point, it just like, it really offended me just how she was just nonchalant about it. And I, you know, I think I had to just be able to acknowledge, just like you said, that bothered me, you know, and not just push it under the rug type of thing. And
Right.
so yeah, and just be able to get past it, and just recognizing too, sometimes we have to recognize that people are where they are, you know, and I can't control what people say, what people do, but I can control how I respond and how I react. That's my choice. And
Yeah.
in forgiveness, that's a huge part of it, is making that choice, which segues into our next part of the forgiveness piece we want to talk about tonight, is defining forgiveness, ladies. Defining forgiveness. So what does it mean to you all? What does it mean, forgiveness mean to you all, in your words, or what have you?
Okay, I'll start with that. I
Okay.
would say letting go of negative feelings that you have towards that person that you feel wronged you. And whether it's intentional or unintentional, um, you have to let go of those negative feelings. That's my little bit of a definition.
All right. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, you know, I came to understand that forgiveness is really freeing myself. You know, it's really freeing ourselves. And so I started looking at it like, I know this might sound crazy, but it's like this bubble, you know, and when you're not forgiving someone for something that has happened, maybe like you said, something said something that it appeared kind of negative to you. It's like you're still in this bubble, and you're not feeling good, you're frustrated, you're angry, all of these things. And so if you decide that you're going to step out of that and you're not going to allow that negativity to come in, it's freeing. So when you make that decision, like you said, it's a decision. When you make the decision that I'm not going to allow that negativity in me, you know, and it doesn't matter if the person, you know, asks you to forgive them, or, you know, it doesn't really matter about the other person. When you decide that you want to be free of it, it's almost like you're going to just step out of that negative bubble. And that's kind of like how I look at it. I know it sounds kind of funny, but
Yeah.
that's what makes me feel like, okay, and even if sometimes something comes up again and you see it again and you're like, oh, you know, that you might be thinking that you're still holding on to that forgiveness, you know, or not forgiving. then remind yourself, I just want to be free of this. I don't want that negativity in my environment, and you just step outside of it.
I
I
love that.
like that, Jennifer. I like that. And you create a visual for me. Like I literally saw myself
Yeah.
sitting in a bubble and seeing something that upset me and saying, I'm stepping out of this. And then I got something that even to add to it. Watching the bubble float away. Just
Oh,
kind of
yes.
just go away, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
my definition of forgiveness is letting go of the expectation of a different outcome and like just choosing to move forward. Like I'm gonna decide that although Constance wronged me, whatever I have to say in my mind to make it make sense for me. Because remember, forgiveness is for me, right? And so my thing may be Constance was doing the best she could. Constance just really doesn't care for me like I thought she was, whatever it is. Being okay with it, whatever that outcome is, and saying I can keep going regardless, right? So I think I love how you said, Jennifer, about freeing. It is just letting go. That's the big word, I think, for me with forgiveness, just letting go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love it, ladies. Letting go. The bubble. I like that
I love
illustration.
that bubble.
And then floating away.
Yeah.
Don't forget the
I like
floating
that.
away. Just,
Yeah.
And it's a choice, like it's been stated, it's a choice. And sometimes it's something we have to keep letting go
Right.
Mhm.
until it's gone, because sometimes that when it flies away, you can still see it heading off into the distance.
Mhm.
It ain't completely out of sight yet.
Right.
And so that choice is sometimes a daily thing. It can be a moment by moment because those thoughts, they're going to come,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but
Or
we
you might
have,
see that individual.
Yeah, those
Right.
thoughts come, they're like on repeat. You just like there are all these negative thoughts that just keep going and in and out of your head, in and out of your head, and you want them to stay out of your head, but then they keep coming back. So
And it's so interesting. You all are talking about negative thoughts, and I promise I'm gonna be quiet tonight. But this is just such a good topic for me because you also have to realize too. A lot of times we don't forgive because of the stories we continue to tell ourselves. Right? We have power over what we tell ourselves. We can change the narrative, and it's not living in denial. It's living free. It's basically saying I'm not going to be caught up in the negativity behind this situation because the situation is what it is. So what can I do in my power and my control to change where I go moving forward? So it's all about what we tell ourselves. It's all about recognizing that you can't change the past no matter what. I was talking to someone today about forgiveness, and the response that I was given was, Sakia, it's easier said than done. And I said, I totally agree. But just like you said, it's easier said than done. You can say to yourself, I'll make the choice every single day to forgive until it becomes natural, till it becomes just a part of who you are. So for those who are watching, I promise I'm going on mute. Just remember, there is power. There is power. You have it. You have the power over making the decision to control what your next steps are. You can't control the other person, but you can decide to forgive and then move on from there.
Yeah, so good. So good. We have the power.
We have the power.
We have the power. That's the bottom line. Even with the thoughts, we
yeah.
have the power to shut them down. And, it takes practice. We have to practice this, especially if it's not something that's normal or, something we're used to doing. One thing I do love about the grief journey, it opens up so many opportunities to heal, to grow, even though the loss is, devastating. It can be devastating. It can be it can life changing, but it gives us an opportunity, gives us so many